trailer, the preview guide trailer, like one man this summer,
Yeah, this is the blockbuster.
Yeah. Like explosion sounds. Like,
distant thunder.
Hold on, we have thunder? No, we don't.
In a world where code ships at midnight and AIs never sleep, one show refuses to press default. They bend APIs, they break bad IDs, they patch reality. This is Monkey Patching, where devs, data and daring collide. Hosted by Bart and Murillo. Buckle up.
Did you hear the cheering actually?
Oh, very funny.
Very faint. Oh, that's nothing. Okay, or maybe clapping.
There we go.
Maybe we should actually like at the end of the intro, I'll add the sound, It's like, ooh, ah.
Are we actually going to use this intro?
Yeah, let's do it.
But then we need to add a bit of a banter before that this was just a test to generate an intense blockbuster intro.
Okay, I'll
We
do it.
asked ChatGPT.
I'll see what I can do with the editing.
Okay.
This is okay. So shall we get started?
Yes. Let's play the sound note.
Yes. Hi everyone, welcome to the Monkey Patching Podcast, where we go bananas about all things search, wearables, and more. My name is Murillo, joined by my co-host and friend Bart. Hi,
Hey,
Bart.
Murillo. Hey,
Hi.
hey.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Nice shirt.
Thank you, too.
What? Where'd you get this shirt?
At the Kendrick Lamar concert.
Oh, I was there too.
Oh, what a coincidence.
Oh wow. Okay,
Coincidence.
it's a great minds, huh? Everything good? No, you went last time we talked about your holidays and everything, right? You
Yeah,
have
we do.
holidays planned?
I actually do have some holidays planned.
Damn, what a life, huh?
Yeah, a few days to the Alps for to go run, basically.
Nice. What do we have? I think we have a lot of stuff to cover this week, huh? I think we maybe have some...
We had too much. Had to cut few.
I think we have some tidbits at the end.
Yeah.
Some small extras that we'll just touch upon. But then let's get started, huh?
Let's do that.
What do we have?
We have MIT's new Nanda report says 95% of corporate GenAI pilots aren't moving the P&L. A sobering reality check for CFOs chasing quick wins. It finds companies that buy specialized tools fare far better than DIY builds, citing a learning gap and poor workflow integration as their real blockers. For the rest of us, the playbook is narrow use cases, measurable outcomes, and partnerships that speed the path from pilot to payoff.
So this is a report, a very recent report, I want to say. This is from August 18th.
Yeah, a few days ago.
Yeah. And it's saying that GenAI pilots at companies are failing.
Yeah, and it basically says that only 5% of GenAI pilots reach production at scale. And that the rest basically don't really have an impact on profit or loss, even though that that these companies are investing heavily in it.
But does it mean so counter thought? A lot of times these, every time something new, people are experimenting with it, right? That's why we have the POCs and all these things. But just because doesn't something go to production doesn't mean it failed.
No, but 5% is very low, of course.
5% is low. But I also feel to say, I think it also depends a bit on how you approach when you're starting these things, right? Are you just experimenting? Are you investing because you know it's going to succeed and then it didn't? Or were you just very curious because... So I do think the number is high, but at the same time, I also... I don't think it's very constructive to think everything that doesn't go to production is failed. I think whenever there's something new, you need to innovate. There is a bit of risk that you're taking. And I think maybe some people they don't acknowledge the risk as they should.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's also normal. It's expected, right? Maybe people are not as informed, but 95% is a lot. But I also, even if it was 70%, I would be like, okay, it's normal.
Yeah, but this is also no longer the first year, right? I think we see a lot of large companies putting a huge amounts of budget in this. And what the report is basically saying that it doesn't really, in most of the cases, it doesn't really lead to a measurable increase in profits or decrease in loss. That's basically what the report is saying. And that also it's better to buy a specialized tool for the problem that they're trying to solve than DIY it with GenAI.
Yeah. Do you find any of these things surprising?
Surprising, not necessarily, but I think it's the first time we have such a large study at this scale.
Yeah.
And it's actually, it's caused a bit of noise on the stock market as well. The last days, a bit of a decrease on the big tech players. Because of this, and because it's potentially one of the signs that we're in a AI bubble that is about to pop.
We talked about this in another episode, right? We're in a goddamn bubble.
Yeah, but this is, I think the report is a bit what introduced it. It's the first time that we're seeing also signs that people are more cautious on the stock market as well.
Yeah.
And especially because like AI is priced also to be this big change agent for companies. Like if you use this solution of this AI company, then you will move forward very quickly.
Yeah.
Right? Like it will bring ROI very quickly. And this large report from MIT is basically saying like
It's not.
it's not.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that everybody has a bit scared because also a lot of these AI companies are not really, they're not publicly traded.
Mhm.
They're owned by VC or private equity, which means that you also don't like it's a bit of a black box for investors because you don't really know how are they doing. So investors typically only notice this when Nvidia has bad results. So there's also this lag effect, like what is going on? Like we have these reports going on. We don't really know how these companies are doing. Like what will the next quarterly results of Nvidia be? And I think that all of that is making everybody a bit
see.
cautious.
I see. Maybe. So I mean, in other words, we're saying this is hype, right? The numbers are showing this is really hype. There's a lot of investment, but there's not actual value.
I think the fear is that there's a bubble, yeah.
Yeah. But do you think that like next year, if MIT does the same report, do you think they'll come up with similar or comparable numbers? Or do you think, because I'm also wondering, like maybe next year, instead of 95%, it will be 70%, which is a big increase, kind of. And maybe like the next year would be instead of 70, it would be 40%, right? Because again, there is a lag effect, and maybe we're undermining how short the lag would be.
I think what you still see in like we're a few years in, but a few years for a large company that is not tech native, not tech first is still a very short time. So I think you still have this, and the report also touches a bit on this. It's like it's still hard to get these GenAI solutions like neatly integrated into the workflow of that already exists for potentially decades in the company. There's also like the capabilities of an organization. Like, do you have the right people to actually implement this? And like a combination of these things also like point a bit like maybe it just takes time to learn this new capability.
Because I was also wondering, because I think maybe the feeling that Gen AI gives value very quick as well comes from the quick wins, right? And the quick wins usually come at a user level, right? Like, before we needed to prepare show notes for the podcast episode, and now ChatGPT does it quickly. Like you're coding, now you have the AI assisted things. And I think when this micro scale, you see very quick things, and then it's easy to daydream, but I think maybe it takes more time to indeed like the processes, how things are done. I feel like a lot of the times the reflection for people is to try to use AI on the current process, but sometimes because the agents, they have so many capabilities, you have to rethink a bit the process, right? Like why are you trying to do this way when the agent can do X and Y and Z much better, faster, etc., right? So I think, again, I'm a bit surprised by the magnitude, not surprised that it is a bit hype, is still a bit bubble, that people are saying a lot of these, there's a lot of promises. You see like the big consultancy, they talk about the vertical, the hyperscalers and all these things, and like this is what we're investing in. But I think you will get there. Again, it's hard to say if it will actually fulfill the whole promise of the AI stuff, because there's a lot of promises, but I think it will definitely be, I mean, the world's not going to be the same. It's like internet, kind of, maybe different scale, but like you see kids like this, they're going to be growing up with this. It's going to be very different.
Yeah, and talking about kids growing up with AI.
Exactly.
What else do we have, Milo?
We have, and let me just put this in the screen before I start. AWS CEO Mark Gurman says, firing junior workers because AIs can do their jobs is, and I quote, the dumbest thing I've ever heard, end quote. He argues juniors are inexpensive and AI native, and calls code percentage bragging a silly metric that celebrates bad code. A key takeaway, keep hiring grads, then use tools like Kiro, which is an AWS IDE, to train and accelerate them instead of hollowing out pipeline. So I think he's the first CEO guy that really went against replacing less experienced people. And I actually thought that he made good points. And I think it links back to what we're just saying, right? Nowadays, if you've been, some people, depends on the person, of course, but if you've been programming for 20, 30 years, now having to change your workflow a bit, there's a lot of people that struggle with a change. So I think the arguments that he makes is, one, they're the cheapest workforce. So if you want to cut costs, don't start there. And they grow up with these tools, right? The same way that older people, they struggle working with computers, where younger people, even if they don't have education, they're usually more tech savvy. The junior developers, they also grew up with they grew up, I know it's very short, but they're more adapt to the AI coding assistants. So he says, instead of cutting them off, mold them into the employee you want them to be, train them to use the tools well because they already know the tools. And then he mentions their IDE, right? Keto, to make them very productive and like shape them into the employee that you actually want, right? But they're going to be the ones in like 5 years that will be the most productive. So firing them now or not hiring them now is very stupid. That's his point. What do you think of that?
I think it sounds coherent. I think this is logical. I think mainly the two things like indeed like young people are the cheapest part of the workforce. They probably learn new tools the quickest, and they've very much grown up on this.
And a lot of the times I think well, I don't know if it's a bias, but I feel like a lot of the times junior people, they're more hungry. They're more like motivated. Like, I think again, I'm maybe generalizing too much here, but maybe it's a bias. But if you have someone who says, okay, now you have to change the way you're doing stuff, I feel like you usually find more resistance with people that have a lot of experience.
Yeah, that's true. I think I can see some truth to that, definitely.
So yeah. I don't think, well, again, I also think that there was a lot of on the statements before that AI is going to replace even mid-level engineers or junior engineers. I thought it was also a bit...
I think that one of the struggles that we've also touched upon here and there is a bit like people's concern, like how will AI people learn how to program?
Yeah.
Right. I've a bit shifted my opinion on that.
What was your opinion before and what's your opinion now?
I think my opinion before was indeed like this is challenging because potentially you won't exactly know how everything works and what good practices are. But it's just to me like it's a bit of a new paradigm, right? Like,
for sure.
I think you can also make this parallel where before you were programming on cards or you were programming assembly, and the assembly programmer saying, oh yeah, we see this new high-level language coming out. Oh, what the fuck is Python? I mean, these people will not know what is going on with the system.
Yeah, even like C, C++, and Python, right?
Exactly.
Like,
and I think this is maybe a bigger step, but it's comparable. In the end, it's about like learning best practices and with whatever tools that you're using.
Yeah, I think also, so I'll take an analogy that is further away from programming languages. Like when I'm from Brazil, right? And when you move to another place, sometimes it's hard to imagine what your day-to-day is going to be because you've never been to that place, right? And I think it's a bit the same, like because there's this new paradigm of programming and learning, you cannot imagine what it's going to be like, but people assume that this is not going to work because I've learned it like this, my peers learn like this, my teachers learn like this, so that's the only way that's going to work. But when you do get there are ways, right? Like there are many, like it will be different for sure. It will be something, but you cannot imagine something that you never experienced.
True. And I think what the government here is saying, you should still hire junior people. I don't think anyone has said you don't need it. I think what the feeling is a bit is like that AI will quote unquote make things more efficient. So potentially you need less people. Yeah. And I think even AWS in the last 2 years when they did layoffs, they hinted towards being more efficient and just thanks to Gen AI and just needing needing less people. And I think the easiest way to decrease your workforce is to, for a certain time, stop hiring junior people. Whether or not that's a smart thing, I don't know, but like it's the easiest way, right? Because you have churn. Yeah. If you have no new people coming in, then you decrease your workforce.
Well, he also says, I mean, at least on the article, right? It's not necessarily about not hiring. It's really about firing junior people or replacing junior people, right? But I also think the reason why juniors are the first one, well, one is because you pay them less, you think it's less valuable. I guess maybe there's people correlated in their heads a bit. The second thing is that usually it's easier to find junior people than medium and senior people.
True. Yeah.
So it's like if I say, I'll fire them now, if next month I need more, I'll hire them more easily. But if I fire senior people and I want to hire them, it's going to be way more challenging.
Yeah. But to be honest, and I don't have a view on the whole news, but like I've heard very little about companies actively firing junior people because of Gen AI.
Yeah, indeed.
I've heard a lot about hiring stops. And actually we got a report, at least in Belgium, that confirms basically that junior people take a lot longer time to find their first job. If you compare this year versus the previous year.
There was already a report.
There was recent news by the Tijd.
Ah, wow. Well, that confirms a bit. We mentioned it.
Yeah, we felt it. We heard a bit in the community that was harder to get to a junior job, but it's, the numbers also confirm it.
Yeah, actually, for me, I finished the master's the year before COVID, and I actually consider starting the master's 1 year later as well. So I think for me, if I had actually said, "Oh, I'll start later," it would be very hard for me to find a job. So I think it was one of those things that I like a bit luck, I guess, but it really worked out for me. Because like COVID happened, and I mean, it's been okay. COVID was in 2020-ish. We're in 2025. 5 years later, there's this, right? So it's like, I'm happy that I started when I did. Yeah, let's just say that.
True.
Let's just say that. What else do we have, Bart?
DeepSeek unveiled V3.1, calling it, and I quote, our first step towards the agent era. With a hybrid think-non-think model, both DeepSeek Chat and DeepSeek Reasoner get 102K context. Structure function calling and stronger tool using agent skills tuned for multi-step tasks. Practically, you'll toggle heavy reasoning only when needed, and they note there will be price changes as off-peak discounts will end September 5th. DeepSeek with a new model.
Yes, 3.1. Actually, the previous one 3.0 was a while ago, no?
It feels long, yeah, but I want to say 6 months.
Really, that's it. 1st of August.
That's this V3.1.
So this was the R1 was 3 months ago, and the V3 was 5 months ago.
Not so that far off, right?
Yeah, not that far, but it feels like a long time, huh?
It's 5 years in AI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like old. So one thing I noted is that, I mean, they didn't say it, and I don't know if I'm actually accurate on here saying this, but it feels like the GPT-5 kind of thing, how they have like thinking and non-thinking.
Exactly. It feels very much like how I use the ChatGPT UI. Yeah.
Yeah. And did you try it?
DeepSeek one? No,
DeepSeek,
no, I haven't.
Yeah. So it felt like that. So I guess I don't know if they're gonna have because the R1 was the reasoning models and the V3 were the non-reasoning, right? And again, recap for people listening: reasoning basically means if you ask a question, the model will output some stuff for itself. So it's almost like if you were to anthropomorphize it, it was like talking to itself before it answers. R1 was a reasoning model, V3 wasn't, and now V3.1 apparently merges the two. It's a hybrid thing. So I guess depending on the question, it will be able to tell if it should talk to itself or not before it answers. I also saw there are a few things on agent upgrades. So more reliable to use with strict JSON. So better for multi-step reasoning, blah, blah, blah. Which also agrees with the overall trend that these models are becoming better agents, right? Like to call these things. Like it seems like people are focusing more on these things now.
Exactly, and are becoming better at understanding which tools are available, at understanding when it should call which tools for what.
Yeah,
and that's clearly like all these new generation models have some of this baked in.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, another model there. And it's actually, I don't know if it's cheaper than the other open source models that we saw. We saw Qwen, we saw Kimi. But I think DeepSeek became very popular because it was the first open source one that really, like open, it really rivaled.
Rivaled with minimal resources.
Rivaled minimal resource, yeah. But I remember even my parents called me. They're like, "Oh, did you hear about this DeepSeek?"
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really in the news everywhere.
Yeah, like it was really like a different dimension. But like Qwen also is really good.
DeepSeek, and I think that is why it is in the news. It had an impact on the stock market at that point.
Yeah, indeed, it was a huge impact. Huge impact.
Even though like Qwen and stuff like that, like they're also good models, but for some reason like it never really.
Indeed, I think, I don't know. Yeah, we can speculate a bit, but yeah, I think bottom line is there are very good models, but I think DeepSeek got some popularity back then because I think it was probably one of the first ones. But it's cool, huh? It's nice to see it keep moving, and I hear some numbers for people. It is the best DeepSeek model. So on the benchmark, they just compared with the other. I don't know. Do you know from the top of your head what the SWE bench verified for the non-open source models or even the other models? Huh?
No.
But so on the release notes they have here, they compare with DeepSeek-V3 and DeepSeek-R1 and DeepSeek 3.1. So the new model is actually the best across the board. And again, still at a good price. So it will be cool to have. Actually, we did it, like a data roots, like a battle of LLMs.
Cool.
I think you need to do this once every week just to make sure you stay up to date.
Yeah, I think it's very hard, like even from the benchmarks, like all the benchmarks are for very specific use cases. It's without testing the model out in your specific context, it's hard to understand like whether it's better out of the box for you or not.
Yeah, indeed. I think even within a domain, sometimes it's harder. You have two different ways of doing the same thing. Is this really better than the other? It's a bit arguable, but I think it's like, I don't remember what I heard, like iPhone releases, like from one to the other, maybe you don't see as much difference, but if you take it back like 5 generations, then you're like, oh yeah, this is very different.
True.
So see this moving along. Anything else you want to add here before we move on to the next topic?
No.
Then what else do we have? Marty Kagan, I don't know how to say his last name, argues AI won't end SaaS or make everyone build. The real shift is components plus user program workflows with, quote unquote, literally thousands of hidden business rules and rise of MCP for agents. The future is yes to both. So expect to buy robust cores and layer vibe coded or agent-driven customizations on top, not to reinvent the enterprise wheel. I came across this article. I thought it was... it had some interesting points, and I think also some things that resonated with what I feel, right? So he starts with like build versus buy. That do you want to, so basic build versus buy for software is like, do you want to build a capability that you need, or would you like to buy someone that offers the capability for you?
Exactly.
And he says that trend, or the general rule of thumb, is if this is a core competency of your company, then you build. If it's not, you buy.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that has been a bit more or less the default for the last decade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, if it's something that you're an expert in, that you need to be an expert in, keep, maintain. But if it's not, don't bother with it. Otherwise, you're going to spend too much time and effort in these things. Then he had another layer, right? He said that now with what he calls, well, vibe coding, I don't know, AI-assisted coding, a lot of people, it's very easy to build now, like very easy.
A bit too easy sometimes.
A bit too easy, yeah, indeed. So does he shift the equation? Should you build more? And then that's when we go to the SaaS stuff, right?
Mhm.
Basically saying like, do you think that SaaS are not going to exist because it's so easy to build these days that everyone's just going to build everything? Because also, arguably, if you build something for yourself, it probably is a little bit better than something you buy, right? Because it's really custom made for your needs. Maybe also even thinking, if this AI agentic or agentic assisted coding is perfect, which is not, right? Even if in a few years it is, would it work out? And he says no, because a lot of these things that these SaaS actually do, it's very clear, like very specific rules that are encoded in the processes of how things should work. So the hard thing is not encoding these things, is knowing what you want to build. So, for example, he gives the example of it's not citizen data scientist or citizen developer, right? With like Excel and all these things. A lot of these things existed for a long time, but if you want to build a financial application, a financial FinOps, whatever, is not the technical challenges, is really knowing what to encode and what not to encode, what the process should look like and what they shouldn't look like. And I think people, they oversimplify these things in their heads, but these processes, a lot of times, they're very complex. And for you to know what you want to build is actually the challenge, not the actual building of it. So he says, you're not going to kill the SaaS. They're still going to be there. They're still going to provide value, right? But at the same time, you will probably build a layer on top of these things, because now building software is much easier to really make it very custom for your companies. So that's why he means by yes to both.
Yeah, you've heard his voice about SaaS will no longer exist in the AI era. I don't believe in that either. I think these are expert products that are built for a very specific goal, and to rival that with something that you hack out of together is very hard. I think maybe the interface to these SaaS products will change. Like maybe there will be more conversational, like via MCP or whatever. I think in the buy versus build discussion, you also have, I think it becomes easier to buy to some extent, because it is much easier with vibe coding, to integrate stuff. You can quickly integrate something new.
True.
I think that is an argument why it makes it easier to buy stuff. I do think that also it makes sense to also more quickly go into build. So I've, in my previous role as in Dateroots as founder, most of the things that we needed that were not our core business, we went the buy route. But that also means, like, for example, for HR tooling, that these are opinionated tools, and that sometimes you change your processes in function of the tools that you buy, which is arguably not ideal. And if it is simple enough to build, I think there are also arguments to say, okay, if this fits your workflow better to build it yourself, even if it's not the core thing that you do, but it is important to you.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, how you look at different actions that need to be taken, or culture, or whatever. Like there's also, it becomes easier to build these things.
Yeah,
Also, you need to take that into the equation.
True. And I think what you said as well, like it's easier to integrate, I think it's going to be more like easier and easier, right? Because I'm also thinking now, really thinking just of the Gen AI layer. A lot of the applications that you buy nowadays, they also have a Gen AI component to it. So if you go to Notion, they have the Notion AI. If you go to Google Drive, they have Gemini. If you go to the Office 365, they have the Copilot.
If you pay the AI tax.
If you pay the AI tax, yeah. If you go to Riverside, there's also an AI thing. But I still feel like they fall short, because a lot of the times for an actual use case, you need to have data from different parts. So if you have a contract, they're going to come from one source, and then you probably need to move it to internal documentation, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. So sometimes that flow, like you have components that, like blocks that do things really well, but to really get the value end to end, you still lack it a bit. Right? Do you want to reinvent the wheel, right? Like if Notion has a really nice AI as well to search stuff, do you want to build something else to search just because you want to make the thing flow? So it's a bit, I think also the ideal world is everything can be exposed, like everything is exposed with an MCP, with a lot of APIs and all these things, and you can just interact with these services, right? And then your application becomes way smaller, but it's really just a layer that integrates things end to end. I don't think we're there yet, but I think it's the logical step. It's whether we are gonna, because maybe they don't want to do this because maybe they want to add another like AI tax on top of it for you to do these things, right? But I think that would be the world that I would like to live in. So you can have like you just care about the end-to-end flow and the process, right? And you can still build a little layer, but underneath you don't need to reinvent the wheel for everything.
It's the glue, that the thing that glues everything together becomes very efficient.
And today I feel like it's not easy to glue things yet. I think logically speaking, that would be the best place to be.
And today it's not perfect yet because a lot of these existing SaaS players, they don't support MCP yet. So it's difficult to interact with them via an agent. I think it's also what we're seeing like with DeepSeek, with ChatGPT-5, that they are focusing very much on improved tool calling. Like you also need good performance there. But we're getting there, right?
I think we're getting there. Again, I think the only reason why I'm a bit hesitant to say that's where we're going to be in the next few years or the next year even is because, maybe people are they see there's a lot of value, right? And from the company point of view, maybe they'll say, maybe I'll make this a Pro++ feature.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
And then it's like you have to pay more for each
to use our MCP.
Exactly. And that's that bit like that's I hope that doesn't happen, right? But I also can see that happening, right? And I think they're in the right to do so. All right. Anything else you want to add here? Anything? Did you have a look at this article as well? Anything that stood out for you?
Not necessarily. Well, I think I agree with the conclusion. In that it's shifting from buy is always the logical choice if it's not your core, versus maybe there are some reasons now to also build part or build an abstraction.
Yeah, I think the Gen AI thing has an interesting layer to it, right? He even mentions tools like Bolt and Lovable that like even people that are not technical, right? So I think you would like. I also saw there was on a podcast the guy was saying that the company's policy now is every time someone has an idea for something, they need to deliver a POC. It doesn't matter if you're back office or HR. Like vibe code something, just give me like a simple UI just to show, and then we talk about that.
But that is also the good thing indeed. Like it makes an idea very concrete very quickly.
Exactly, right? And it's very much like just the fact that you can do it yourself. So what is like your head to the PC is not your head to someone else's head to the PC. That already shortens a lot, right? And I think it's easier for people to take ownership. I think it's like overall, it's a very nice approach. Alrighty. And what else do we have?
Google claims a typical AI text prompt now uses about 0.24 watt hours, roughly 9 seconds of TV, after a 33 times efficiency jump. It packs water at about 5 drops and CO2 at 0.03 grams. But experts say the framing ignores key factors. The net effect, your prompts are cheaper, yet scale and uncounted training mean overall impact may still climb.
This is, I saw this on a different article actually. I saw from the actual announcement from Google. I skimmed through it. They also had a video that showed a bit. That was maybe a video version of the report, like just a trailer, let's say. I think the surprising thing, and I think everyone's mentioning, is the query is the equivalent of 9 seconds of TV. And I think there was a lot of numbers, a lot of speculation that it is much, much, much bigger than that. So now Google is kind of saying that's not true.
Well, after their efficiency jump.
After the efficiency.
Because if you take the headline, it's a 33 times efficiency jump.
That
suddenly becomes a lot, right? Like it's 33 times 9 seconds.
But the headline from Google wasn't that. It was really just like, we care about sustainability and it's only 9 seconds.
Okay.
Right? But it's true. And I think I even saw 44 times or something. So here it says 33 times in 1 year. And I think last week we talked about some, I think what was it? Was a Gemma? No, it wasn't Gemma. The Edge model that was more efficient as well.
Gemma 3.
It was Gemma 3, yeah.
A version of Gemma 3. Yeah.
A version of it. So I think also indeed, we also see Gen AI also moving towards more that efficient, less like energy consuming. We see GPT-5 now kind of routing queries directly for you, so you don't have to do these things. So I think it's also nice to see. I think Google is trying to get some PR out of this, right?
Sure, but it's also good to get a bit more objective facts on what does a query actually cost.
True.
Right.
Well, I think they also mentioned the medium query I saw at some point.
Yeah.
So I think depends.
This is based on what they call a medium query.
Exactly. So it's like if you're someone that usually have long queries to ChatGPT and expects like summaries of documents or stuff that is very, a lot of output tokens and stuff.
I would not assume that is a medium.
No, I would not assume that's a medium.
Yeah.
I think
a simple question.
Exactly. I think a lot of people like a Google search.
Yeah, basically the alternative to a Google search.
Exactly. I think that's what I would expect, right?
And do you think this is a lot or not 9 seconds of TV?
I think it's less than I thought, but I think it's something that I can live with. but it's not negligible, right? I think it's like, how can I say it? And I also hope that this is not the end goal, right? I also hope that it will keep.
I think the good thing here is that it's in everybody's best interest to decrease this as much as possible, because more resource consumption will mean a higher cost for these players.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is a clear example of like sustainability, but it's a win-win.
The incentives are aligned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good. But I also thought it was nice to see that, and it was a bit surprising because before Gen AI, there was a lot of environment focus, let's say, like sustainability focus. And then these things came, and then the US kind of say like, fuck everything, you know, like let's just, and then you also feel like you cannot fall behind as well. And then it's a bit of a weird spot. It's like you're trying to be environmentally aware. Like if you talk about where you want to invest in the next year, and then you say we should do about sustainable AI, and then it's like we should do it a Gen AI, you know. And it's like you have the two things.
Not sure how much this links to AI or a certain president, but I feel what you mean. Yeah, it's true.
But it's a bit of a weird place, especially like
it's a weird place to be in. Yeah.
Working in AI, you say in the next 5 years we should definitely focus on sustainable AI and Gen AI, and it's like, how? Right? Like it feels like they're very contradicting. So I think it's nice to see Google doing this. It would be nice to have a wave effect, let's say, if Anthropic also kind of publishes more, there's more winners, there's more this, there's more that. I think also they mention here, again, maybe I'm paraphrasing a bit, this is not just the model, right? There's also, so there's the efficiency of the model, but I think there's also efficiency of the hardware. There's also the sustainability of where the energy comes from their data centers, right? So it's a whole bunch of things that are done to reduce the emissions. And actually, so maybe a question here for you. Let me remind me if when they say equivalent of 9 seconds of TV, is in terms of power.
Power, yes.
So it's not like CO2 emissions or anything.
Well, the CO2 emissions are explicitly mentioned elsewhere. I think they're separate, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it's nice. I think Google as well is in a good place to do that because they also have their own TPUs and all these things. So what did you think actually? Because you asked me if I thought it was...
So I knew that it was a bit overstated in the past, right? Like it was a bit... because people are frustrated, like what about sustainability? I think you had a lot of large numbers on how much it actually costs to query. And you had a lot of other sources that were also like bring a bit more rationale into this. So it was more or less, I would want to say what I was expecting. Maybe it is even a bit more than I was expecting. I think 9 seconds still feels like a lot for a small query.
Yeah, but how much do you think 9 seconds of TV is a lot of energy?
Yeah, but the thing is, I wasn't really know what to also comparing it to something like it's very tangible, right? Like
because I'm also thinking when they also say 9 seconds of TV, is it just the power of my device, or does it also include? Because like if I'm watching Netflix, it's also streaming data from some other place.
I think you make it too complex now.
Yeah, maybe. Because I was thinking like 9 seconds of TV. If I toast my bread in the morning on a toaster,
that's way more.
It's way more, right?
Yeah, it's way more.
So the next years I was like, yeah, that's kind of small, right?
And how do you do this every morning?
I'm not sure if I do it every morning,
but almost. Like nature is fucked because of you.
Yes, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
It was like, Murillo all along.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like, okay. And
there goes another glacier.
Yeah, I was like, okay, 1 degree warmer. Thank you, Murillo. And still, the toaster is the most efficient way to toast bread, no? If I put it in a pan and I toast it, it's going to be less efficient, or no?
I have no clue. I've never really...
Right? I do know that toaster, I do think toasters are very energy hungry.
We can ask ChatGPT to do deep research on this, but I think that will be, it will cost you the next 500 toast bread.
Defeat a bit the purpose. Yeah. I saw maybe a side note, I saw there was a video of a guy, a cyclist, like super, super buffed. And then he was trying to toast bread with the energy produced cycling. And the guy was like struggling. Like, he was sweating. Then in the end, like, ping, you know, and there's like all of a sudden he's like takes a bite, but like the guy's super big, you know, and it's like a bit absurd of the you know. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. I'm also wondering here, so when they did the analysis, how did they do this analysis? Because I also think they also wanted this analysis to be of a starting point for other companies to, like a framework, let's say, for other places to be able to measure their power consumption, right? So when they say one query, I guess it's just inference, so it doesn't take into account the training cost, which is it higher, you think? Like if you say how much power, how much energy we use to train these models?
Well, that is one of the reactions that comes to this is indeed like training is not counted in this.
Yeah,
and training is probably. Well, it's huge because these models are trained for sometimes weeks or sometimes even months. The question is like how it really depends on how much of this is then used to understand like how much does it contribute to a single query.
Yeah,
it's difficult for me to guesstimate, to be honest.
And they weren't very transparent then on what the actual thing included, what the actual analysis included. That's a bit of a pity. Yeah, it's a bit of a pity. Let's see. I think sometimes when a big player releases something, open source or the community kind of rallies behind and shows alternative versions, but possibly more transparent. So I also hope that even if Google didn't make it as transparent, that we have more stuff moving in that direction. Which maybe leads us to Mirage 2. Yeah, last week we talked about Genie 3 from DeepMind. Yes, and now we have Mirage 2. So Dynamics Lab released Mirage 2 and presents, and I quote, the next leap in generative world engines, turning text and controls into live playable worlds. The research preview features GTA style and Forza-like demos, cloud stream near 16 frames per second with on-the-fly UGC and 10-minute sessions. For players and creators, it hints at co-creating games, prompting, steering, and sharing worlds as you play. So rhymes with Genie 3, right? I actually didn't know this. So basically, recap from Genie 3 and Mirage 2, right? You have a prompt, generates a world that you can actually interact with.
Well, how I understand it, Genie 3 that we discussed, you have a text prompt.
Yes.
Mirage 2, today you have an image prompt. You start with an input image.
Okay.
So indeed, it's only been a week that we were amazed with Genie 3. Now we have Mirage 2 coming from Dynamics Lab.
Dynamics Lab, did you know them before?
No, I didn't know. But apparently they released Mirage 1 just a few months ago.
Oh, wow. Let's see here, Mirage 1.
And they're calling this a generative world engine, basically meaning like you as a user can generate whatever you want to play. You start with an image. You can actually play a demo on the website. They have all kinds of things. There's like a doodle you can walk through. You have like Starry Night by Van Gogh. They have an input image. I tried it yesterday. You get placed in a queue, but then you can walk around a bit if there's enough place on their systems. It is very impressive. I think it opens up so many creative avenues. I think there's also on the website, there's actually a comparison with Genie 3 because of course it's very comparable.
Yeah.
And the interaction horizon, what I understand, but I'm not 100% sure if that is my correct interpretation, is that it is the way that it understands the world and also remembers the world, but I'm not 100% sure that I'm not correct here. And they're saying it's 10 plus minutes.
Oh, that's a lot.
That is a lot. Yeah.
It's a bit less frames per second, right? I think the Genie 3 was 24 frames per second, I want to say.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is I'm using them here, live streaming, showing a bit of a game playing. They only allow for 20 seconds or so it already is over. It looks pretty cool. So the one I tried as well was just like a childlike drawing.
Yeah.
And then it actually generated a world, like a 3D world, and you can kind of walk and play and run and fight with people apparently.
And the big difference here, of course, you can actually play the demo.
Yeah.
Genie 3, the general public doesn't have access to it.
Yeah, that's true. I see there's some more examples here.
So to me, like this feels like such a big step. Like we're very much at the beginning of this, like these user generated creations, like add a few years to this, like what will it bring, right?
Again, I'm really wondering what's this gonna mean for the game developers.
Game developers, but for me also like AR and VR space will get a big boom from this.
True. Yeah. Again, I think the only thing that I would like to be sure is like if you can start with this and then bring it into the old school way of building these things and then tweak it, right? Kind of like the same thing that you could do with, I don't know, your Claude Code. You generate a whole bunch of stuff, but then you still go to your VS Code afterwards and tweak the stuff, right? So you have the cannonball that gets you 80% there very quickly, and then you can still go and chisel the details, right?
Yeah.
I think that would be the best place to be. So I don't know how they build this. I know very little about that engine and stuff, but like how you can import, export artifacts and.
But I think what you will see is like when you talk about gaming is that where you have today, for example, the Unity gaming engine, where you have this very quote unquote classic sort of IDE, maybe you can call it. And it's very visual, of course. That will just get like an AI prompting component where you can say, okay, I want the world to look like this. I want to be able to interact like this. It will, like Jen has shifted how software developers work day in, day out. It will also shift how game developers work.
For
It
sure.
will maybe allow your uncle wherever to say, oh, this is my proof of concept game now.
Yeah,
Because I'm just going to prompt it with something like lovablegames.ai.
Sure. I think it kind of links what we said as well before, right? Like if you can have, everyone can bring their POC.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm thinking of this world that you can do this and
Yeah.
you can jump and get flies. Like, no, don't tell me, just show me.
Show me.
Right? I think
type it and then show me.
exactly. Like type it. If it's not what you think, tweak it. I think sometimes for these things you need to really try and see how it looks.
Yeah.
To see if it really is really what you has the effect that you expected, right? So I think it's cool. And I also think a lot of people go into programming for game development as well still. So I think it would be nice to, I don't know, it's a nice add-on. Something that I wasn't really expecting actually when I first saw the Genie stuff.
No, true.
Came a bit of nowhere for me.
Yeah.
Very cool. What else do we have there, Bart?
We have researchers trained a wearables foundation model on 2.5 billion hours from 162,000 people to better predict health states. Across 57 tasks, behavior-driven signals excel, especially sleep, and combining with raw sensors boost accuracy further. This means basically expect smarter, more timely nudges from wearables, not just step counts and generic recovery scores.
Cool.
Yeah, this is cool, yeah. So what they try to do, what they actually did, is that they built a foundation model. And a foundation model, how we typically look at it, these are LLMs text-based models, right? But instead of text, they input basically sensor measurements and trends over time and link them to health states. Like health states being you recovered well last night, or you're stressed, or like these type of health states, and also some precursors to medical conditions. I skimmed a bit through the article, and apparently the performance is very good and typically also beats simple models that try to understand these signals.
And simple models are usually rule-based, I guess.
Rule-based, or let's say simple regression models that were built on this. It seems to be, if you look at the performance, it seems a worthy avenue for these type of smart device manufacturers to really explore further. The question is, of course, like these simple models are, and that's I think something that you need to at least understand here, is like simple models are way more energy efficient, right? So if you want to, you're probably not gonna run a foundation model tomorrow on your Garmin with the technology that is out there today, but you might gonna run this on your accompanying cell phone app, right?
And this is wearables in general.
Wearables in general.
So it can even be the Oura Ring.
They could be like these type of signals.
What about explainability though? Because I'm also wondering, like, if it says I have a high likelihood of having a heart condition, maybe this is a bit simpler, but would I want to?
I think like the heart condition is already like there's a medical.
Yeah, maybe.
It's maybe that goes very close to a diagnosis. Like they really looked at health states like, are you tired? Are you recovered? Are you stressed? Like, it's a bit more precursors to that.
And then if I say like, okay, let's imagine I'm stressed. Because I feel like sometimes these type of things, at least for me, they trigger follow-up questions. Like you said, I'm stressed. Oh, why is that? It's because your heart rate during the night is elevated. Okay, what can I do to help that? You know, like maybe not, I don't know, not eating a heavy meal before bed or not doing this. I wonder how this would all play out if it's all LLM based.
Well, it's foundation model based.
Foundation model, yeah, not LLM.
It's not language model.
Not language.
But I think even better than it would today, because like this, what the results they're presenting is basically like we're better able to understand your health state versus traditional models. So it's better like when your Oura Ring says it's stressed, it will be closer to reality. That should be right. Like, and there of course like there's going to be a time period where it like needs improvement, maybe a bit of the loop approach. But then the next thing is, that's what you're referring to, is like, what do I do with it? I am stressed. Like, what is that? I think their LLMs can even be a bit better at the current approach. And the current approach, like with Aura, is, you're stressed. We have this meditation that you can follow. Do you want to follow this? Yes or no? And they're like an LLM model can maybe say, we have these type of things. What is your interest? Are you interested in meditation? But we also have these four other things, and like a bit better learn and memorize also like who are you as a person and what works best for you.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. True. I think there's a lot of stuff you can explore there, right? I think wearables. I think when I see wearables, I think it gives me flashbacks of the AI wearables that there were pilots, right? Like there was the human AI pin, like things like that really never caught on.
Yeah, but that's really like dedicated AI.
Yeah,
it's not really.
Yeah, I think this is like take what already exists,
yeah, exactly,
already used and already works, and try to see if we can add this layer of foundation models to see. That's nice. That's nice. Anything that you would be like, if there is one use case that relates to this that you would like to see? Because you also have wearables. I know you also look into like how to augment your training regime with foundation models, or in that case, with still LLMs.
Well, what comes to mind, and it actually goes a bit beyond this article and maybe links more to the buy and build discussion that we had earlier. What I am typically quite annoyed of is that like all these things, all these wearable or sports or related sensors and metrics that like they live a bit in isolation.
Yeah.
So I have a Sunto heart rate monitor, a smartwatch basically. I have my Aura ring. I use some other things, like I have a Zwift bike that has its own data, and like they all live a bit in isolation, and there exist very few solutions to like build a good overview on and to really understand like what is it that you did in the last week.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think the best thing I see today is just like Apple Health, because everything syncs to Apple Health, and then you have a bit of a one view there, but there's tons of room for improvement.
Yeah,
That's
I
to
agree.
say the least. Alrighty. Anything else you want to say on this?
No.
Alrighty. The last, well, kinda, but definitely not least, we have Google is adding agentic, quote unquote, get it done skills to searches AI mode. Starting with restaurant reservations for AI Ultra subscribers in the US, it's also expanding AI mode to over 180 countries in English, adding opt-in personalization and link sharing for collaborative planning. If you lens, search shifts from answers to actions, bookings today, local services, and event tickets soon. So I actually didn't see that before, so I had a quick look. I think it's more on the, again, more agentic stuff, right? Like if you want to book a reservation at a restaurant, like I think you mentioned again, if you want to have tickets for your favorite artist, that they're actually working on these things and getting better at these things there as well, which actually I think Google is in a good place to do so, right? Because they already have a lot of stuff with Google Maps and interactions with that.
And to me, this is also a bit of a, we've seen this with OpenAI before. I want to say we discussed it roughly a month ago that they introduced agent mode. This feels very similar to that, right?
Indeed, it does.
You want to give it a prompt to like book a reservation at this restaurant, or maybe even more complex. Like I want to go to the Chinese restaurant within that radius with the best score, and please book a table for me at Friday at 9. And then it goes and it does it for you, which I think is also a bit the premise of what ChatGPT's agent mode is.
Yeah, indeed. I think the one thing that they added, I would say, is the collaboration. I don't remember seeing that on the OpenAI stuff, which is like, from what I understand, is like
collaboration I haven't seen how it looks like, but it sounds very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, and from what I understand, again, is like we need to find a restaurant, and then we need to choose the restaurant together, so I can kind of share with you, and we can kind of together doing these
that
things.
It maybe pings me to say, are you available at that time, or should we shift in an hour? Or
yeah, indeed. Or like, maybe this, or maybe let's go for this one, but this one is not available this time. Would you prefer this one or this one? So I think it's nice.
Remove all need for any communication.
Exactly. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That is the goal. This is available, but just in the US, as I understand, and only for.
But it is getting rolled out in a lot of countries.
But is it like quote unquote plus users, or?
It's for ultra users, yeah.
Ultra users.
Yeah.
How much is that? Do you know?
No, to be honest, not. I think it's the more expensive solution. You're verifying it.
No, I was.
Let me quickly check. It's the Pro is the default one, which is in euros, 22 euros per month. The Ultra is the 275 euros per month.
It's kind of like I'm surprised that I didn't know this before, but it kind of looks like the OpenAI stuff as well, right? OpenAI has like a paid, affordable, and then they have the one that is more expensive. Right.
And interestingly, talking about pricing, I thought this we didn't put it here on the news items. I think last week somewhere, OpenAI also introduced a new option for pricing, which is between their Pro, which is their basic paid model, and their free one. Only in India, and it's priced somewhere in between those two. So it's a way more affordable. So it's something like when you translate it, something like $5-6. And it's more limited in the terms of queries that you can do, of course. But it suddenly opens up to a lot more people at that price point, right? Like 20 euros, I think, or 25. It's now these days a month. I mean, you're going to consider like, do I actually need this, right? Like,
yeah.
You need good arguments.
Yeah, but I think it's also maybe it's a gateway drug, right?
True.
I mean, if it works well, to be honest, I think that's a bit the thing, right? There's a lot of promises. If it works well, I'll be down to invest in it, right? But but it's a big if.
Well, especially for people like us that are active in this domain, in the tech domain, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I think the cost of 25 euros times 12 is very reasonable.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I think especially when you consider the time gain and like the quality of life improvement and all these things, right?
And I could even argue that the more expensive one, which is like 200 a month, is still cheap, because like it comes down to the cost of basically a laptop, like a cheap laptop a year.
Yeah, that's true.
If you look at it like that, like
I think
for the
so.
moment that it really starts significantly accelerating what you do, I think you need to think a bit in those terms.
Indeed. I think it's like you start thinking of how much your time is worth and how much you can do in this time and how much of this, how much of that. Yeah, sure. Do you have the super plus for OpenAI or something like that? Not yet. Alrighty. Anything else you want to say on the AI mode in search from Google Gemini?
No. We have some small tidbits left.
We have some small tidbits. Lots of stuff we wanted to cover, so we kind of agreed like let's add it to the end quickly. So first one is imagestyles.ai.
Yeah, a page that you shared.
Indeed.
It basically shows like a variety of image styles generated by ChatGPT.
Exactly. So if you're following the YouTube, we're sharing the screen, so you see a few examples. There's a picture of a very colorful teddy bear and a dog next to it, and then it has a bit of the different styles. So the reason how I came across this is I wanted to generate images for a presentation. I wanted them to be on the same style, but then whenever I was trying to describe the style, it wasn't really getting there. And also when I was even asking ChatGPT to describe the style and then generate the same image on the same style as that, it wasn't quite getting there. And there's a lot of them, like let's see, like at least 100 different styles here and things that I would never think of. So like first one, I'm just reading here in order, like No Man's Sky, Watercolor, Invader Zim, 8-bit, low poly, Plexus, like things that I wouldn't have thought.
No, I think it's very valuable. Like to give a quick overview of how does a certain keyword in terms of styling, how does it look like, and to get also a bit of consistency on what you generate. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think so. If I'm doing a presentation, sometimes I like to put images because I think it catches more the attention of people. But I also want there to be some coherence between the images. Yeah. So I think you can just pick a style and just say, okay, generate this in this style, and then kind of follow through. So it was a nice reference point for me as well. So wanted to share. And what else we have? We have also Sycophancy, but I couldn't find anything on that part.
Sycophancy is South Park's latest episode. If you've been following South Park this year.
Not this year, no. I used to watch it more before.
There are 3 episodes now, and I think the first 2, actually the third one as well, like they go very much in protest against Trump.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Whatever you think about Trump, they're funny because they go very, like the humor is extremely directly targeted.
Yeah, they don't care.
I'm really wondering like how long it will take until we see a lawsuit coming from. But the third one is relevant here. It's called Sycophancy. It's a play on sycophants.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Not sure I'm pronouncing it exactly the same way as the title there, but it's written a bit differently. Sycophancy basically means, in terms of LLMs, is that LLMs are very pleasing. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit here what happens and what also happens in the episode. Like, I have this business idea. I want to combine fries with walking dogs, like making fries recipes with walking dogs. And then the ChatGPT doesn't go like, what the fuck are you talking about? But it's very sycophant, meaning like it's going to go like, wow, that you're so creative.
It's a great idea.
Let's take these 2 aspects and build something for you. And like really this pleasing aspect, and it gets you're showing the screen there, like Randy, like a bit in trouble with a marijuana farm he's trying to get off the ground
because he was chatting with the AI.
Yeah. His assistant to really understand like what direction he needs to take is ChatGPT. It's very, very pleasing and everything that he.
So he's just like, that's a great idea. Yeah. Oh yeah. I think
and it's really funny. It's a bit of a. I think that's what the South Park creators do. Is like they find a funny way of quote unquote protesting things that people at least need to think about. Like
yeah. It's like you're laughing, but at the end of the day, you're like, yeah, but they have a point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I get it. Oh, it's fun. Where do you watch it actually? Is it on like Netflix and stuff? No,
it's not on Netflix, so I can't really mention on stream where I watch this.
We'll talk offline. But I'll definitely try to watch it. And this is here, season 27, episode 3. A lot of seasons. And now last, but definitely not least, we have ElevenLabs released a new model. One that has, so Meet 11 V3, the most expressive text-to-speech model. So again, it's text-to-speech. So you type some stuff and you will say it for you. Apparently, you can also add some voice marks, like I'll give an example here. Excited, shouting. There's also one laughing, chuckles, right? And then it sounds really good, actually. I'm gonna say
and these voice tags, like these annotations, like is someone excited? Like this used to be way more limited in V2.
Yeah, but like it's getting really good. And I'm not, if I play, will this go through? Let me try. If I click sample to play.
We're off under the lights here for this semi-final clash. The stadium buzzing with anticipation. ElevenLabs United in their iconic black and white shirts, pushing forward with intent straight from the opening whistle. Driving down the wing, pace to Bernie, skips past one, skips past two. Oh, this is beautiful. One-on-one with the fullback, cuts inside. Oh, that's a lovely bit of footwork. And goal!
Shouting.
Oh my goodness, they've done it again!
It's really cool, huh? Yeah.
Never again.
It sounds very good. Huh? I think it's slightly less impressive in Dutch.
You tried it already.
No, but it's still good, but it's slightly less impressive. I also noticed a few bugs when it's in Dutch. Like sometimes, like the annotation tags, like excited chuckles, like they get read aloud.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But you can, like in this dialogue, you can basically type whatever you want and choose the language.
I see. So that's
choose
where
a voice. Yeah, that's where I tried it.
So for people following only audio, they're on
definitely worth going there and testing it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think programming or stuff with speech is a bit, because they're a voice agent, right?
Maybe you try something, like take giggles, start with giggles maybe, like the tag giggles, and then say, oh Bart.
Oh Bart.
Oh Bart, and then maybe go to whispers, because it's already there. Oh Bart, comma, yeah, and then whispers, and then your slippers are so cute.
Is this what you wanted to hear? Bart's gonna be like walking down the street with his AirPods on. It's like, let's see. Now he need to play. Just want to put it on, just like, you're the best guy.
Oh, Bart, your slippers are so cute.
Thank you.
Are you blushing? I'm blushing. Oh my God. And he picked a female voice as well. Maybe it was just based on the text.
Yeah, you can actually, below, you can choose voices. So if you copy paste the text for a second, and then we can also try it in a different,
okay.
Because it will remove the text.
Okay, maybe the sergeant.
You have what it takes.
Jesus.
Okay, let's try this voice with the text. The sergeant. So it's going to be different if the sergeant tells me.
Oh, Bart, your slippers are so cute.
Okay.
That's weird. I felt like I had to do like 10 push-ups or something.
Right. It's like, now give me 10. Cool. I feel like it's always fun to to play with these things. Huh?
True.
Alrighty. I think that's it for today.
That's it for today.
Had a lot of topics. Had fun as well. Anything you want? Any parting words of wisdom that you want to share with the world, Bart?
Invest in slippers.
Invest in slippers. Nice. And in socks as well, I guess.
White.
White. Nice. Alrighty. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for joining me, Bart. And I'll see y'all next week.
Ciao.